of them are gradually getting to that space. But because of the nature of politics, most women will not want to jump the gun and just jump into politics like that. But I think the party can set the platform. The political parties can encourage women participation. For instance, in the process, in the party conventions at the district level, the party can encourage women who are very, very proactive and good leaders, sort them out, and once they know the woman has the ability to win a district, can also talk to men to give her a chance. So that whole process can be done, but it cannot be an overnight thing. It will take some time for us to get there. The issue of women participation, especially 30%, is a whole age problem in the legislature. Yes. It's a whole age problem. Because I can recall when the issue was brought on the floor, there were people who argued that the very constitution of political party is very level. Are we suggesting that you will have a national policy that will govern the primary of the political party? The answer was when this issue came for debate, and we argued it, women at the time saw that those who stood against it were against women participation. You know, my son is very strong on the matter, but I think this the issue of women participation, said 30%, is the issue, is something that had to be done gradually.
Thank you, we got that. NPP is just speaking with one voice.
So, you want to continue? One question. I'll ask 3 questions, I'll be done. Second one. The VP said that if you are from CDC and get elected on CDC ticket, and during your tenure you jump to ANC, you should vacate the seat. But the argument has always been in Supreme Court. If you carry a complaint against a candidate and the party says no, would rather complain, Supreme Court says no, they may have the right to go with a complaint. So the argument has always been that in this conflict, most often, it is not the party that pay the expenses. It is yourself. So how can you tell me to go with the party's mandate when you don't support me? That's the issue. Yes. Guess what? I want one speak. Okay. On the matter. Okay. Yeah.
We go to next to Senator Taylor.
Distinguished members of the Senate. If these things happen because there have been no controlling law. These things happen because there have been no controlling law. This is why we think for the National Patriotic Party it's better that you have a controlling law. You agree with me that democracy is about competition. Now you have a party profile, a candidate, a very powerful ruling party who have failed to convince the people at the very constitutional level, come to the legislature and begin to campaign for the legislator in his chamber. Or you can join our party, we'll do the one for you, you'll be re-elected. To curtail this, the Supreme Court, if you have a controlling law, the Supreme Court will no longer leave you at the discretion. Uncommon transparency. You got it right here in Sierra. Once the party elects you and you decide to leave, give it, vacate the seat.
But the party supports
the candidate. Yeah, but here, there is no yardstick mention that the party has not been supporting the candidate. If the MPP put out a candidate, we will give you our vehicle, we'll give you our emblem, we'll give you cash. So that is our support. We're getting vehicle. Support to that. That was different questions, yes? Honorable Chair, it was a different question. Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chair. So I tend to support the proposal made by NPP. Certainly, if you have a law, then the Supreme Court will go to interpret that law. Now, there's no candidate who will come out to say that I ran on the party's ticket and did not get support from the party. First support you get is the fact that you have the indemnity bond proffered by you by the party. You don't have to go to the different counties to get the number of representatives to proffer before you get eligible to run. Those are significant support that will save you money. Other than that, if you run as independent candidate, you have to file 100,000 indemnity bond. You have to go get support, publish them before you run. The political parties are already covered, so you have that support. So this will strengthen our democracy. And as soon as you pass this law, I guarantee you there will be no crisscrossing of any candidate because nobody will want to leave the legislative seat because of another party, and our democracy will get stronger.
Say one thing before we move on that point. And Senator, the fact of the matter is, for example, let's use the CDC. Because many years ago, people who got elected on the CDC ticket, the mandate from the party was just vote across wherever you see that emblem, just party back for it. So there's a lot of other things you get. And I think if everybody does all of that and you get elected on that party mandate, on the party platform, the least you can do is to remain stable. Because people come and then they get to the point where, oh, you're looking for greener pasture, or you were elected on a party mandate. How do you now go and tell the people, oh, I have this mandate that I got elected on, let me leave it and go jump somewhere else? We're trying to question all of that. I think we're going into a new sphere of democracy. People should be committed to where they are. And if you don't want that, then you just go independent.
China, please. It's important. So I mean, so for instance, I'm on Liberty Party ticket, and Liberty Party mandates that there's something in the legislature none of us should vote for as Liberty Party members, and we went and voted. And Liberty Party took a decision to expel us. What happened to that seat?
Well, look, this proposal is made in
And before you answer, I'm 100% in support of this proposal. But we just want to make sure that when we want to make sure that it is properly done, and so that it can be constitutionally.
Well, that's taking a step too far. Because if you get expelled, for example, for not following the party's mandate, that's a reprimand that is happening internally. I don't think that should automatically affect your seat. Other than that, the political parties themselves will get too powerful and then it will become a problem. We don't want to fix one and create another.
So that aspect should not be considered.
No.
If the party takes its action on you, it doesn't affect you in the legislature.
No, but if you voluntarily release, because
I got that.
Yes.
Okay, so we use that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. For me, I have two things to say. One will go to the women participation, 30%. Why are you reducing your strength to partake in election? Because the Constitution gives you the right for everyone to partake. You got 100% support already. Why are you reducing your percentage to 30%?
We are starting off from there. We are not reducing our strength. We are only starting off from there.
No, you have the right to start from 100%. So why are you reducing?
We chose to use that route. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Freeman Taylor, Simeon Taylor, Senator Taylor,
Of course, yes.
apagahin. Di se acomoda de si movie como parte de ahora que está aquí.
We'll discuss that one.
Yeah, he left. So, okay. But, Senator, I think outside of the jokes, this is a very serious issue around the 30%. Realistically, we do not have 100%. There have been conversations around barriers to female representation or participation in politics. And we're all politicians. We know the facts. We know the reality. And so if the 30% comes in, it's also very interesting that every time we talk about 30%, it automatically becomes about women because the law doesn't even reference women. It says any one gender. But the reason we immediately reference women participation is because that gender has predominantly historically been left out of political participation. So if in the instance you have a situation where men are not on these party tickets up to 30%, the law also applies to men.
So let me hold you there. Let me hold you there. Let me say to you that it's just a matter of laziness. Laziness. The women have decided to go more in doing different things than taking part in politics.
Senator
So
Taylor,
we do, I come in place. We don't have to add more. What we need to do is the awareness. Because you have 100% right to partake. Just encourage women to take part in elections. If you restrict, I come in place. If you restrict women to 30%, you won't be doing justice. The issue that has to do with the law that says if you leave from one political party, you leave your seat, I encourage and support that. Because it will do a lot of things for our democracy. One, the ruling party will not have the influence to manipulate lawmakers in parliament. I come please to manipulate lawmakers in parliament to join them. If you were elected on a party ticket and you are here, and then because look at our democracy in Liberia, the executive has so much strength to influence a lot of things. And that would be one law that will help us. Sometimes people complain, oh, the man was elected and he left the party and went to another party. There are a lot of things that interplay behind the scene. You don't know. And sometimes you try to stigmatize other people's character like that. But it will help to curtail movement and even strengthening the opposition. And to get strong on our democracy and make it better. So I will support that law. But the issue that has to do with women participation, the women should go and create the awareness. To look, you can say, for example, the women go meet in the market to do their businesses. Should you enact law that would say men should take 30% of the businesses that they are doing to be done by men? That's what they choose to do. Everybody got a passion. So men choose to do politics more, the women choose not to partake in politics. And you are forcing them to take part in politics. And which of course, please protect me. Yeah. So they have decided to do what they want to do. But if you limit them, even mind, you won't be doing justice. They have right to partake 100% in politics. If they choose to do it, let us find the money, create the awareness, encourage women to go and take part in politics, and to restrict them to 30%. Why is in my country 70% of the women want to take part in politics? Will you deny them?
Senator, I think that
Mr. Chair, let me let me come in defense of this bill. Yeah, let me just come in defense of this bill. This bill is a bill to enable the participation of women. It is not intended to cure all of the wrongs, but it will give them an advantage. As you know, there are some institutions in the world, they will give a certain percentage point to minority groups because they're trying to breach a gap. This is no. The Constitution says participation. What?
Mr. Chair. Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
sir. Yes, sir. Before. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Or lazy.
Yes.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With all due respect, Senator, you call a whole gender lazy.
All right.
Apology accepted.
Yeah, we agree. So the optics of this alone, that when you come in the Senate, for example, and we're seeing the committee's participation all male, and the optics of this alone doesn't really send the signal that we want. So, no, I have no power to do that. So I even take it back. But I was trying to learn a point. Yes, are you?
Before you land a point, I want you
To be factual to the people of Liberia,
Thank you.
on your different executive committees, do you have 30% women
Yes,
representation?
the ANC have surpassed that. In fact, we just did a review. We surpassed that. Yes.
But I do need to provide some clarity to the Senator, Mr. Chair, if you permit. The law does not restrict 30%. It says not less than 30%. So it can be more than 30%. So I think it's important that we stress that point, because you keep saying you got 100%, why are you restricting the 30%? The only thing the law says is do not go below 30%, that at least any one gender should be. So if you're having 10 candidates, at least 3 of those candidates must be of both genders, so either women or men.
So, yes.
I do support this idea of 30% or more. Here's my question. If all of the political parties submit their candidates and all of them get 30%, how do we ensure that these people are voted for? How?
Okay.
Very easy. Because this is an enabling law, it does not guarantee what happens at the battlefront, but you will put in place certain mechanisms to ensure that the participation will be more. And by them having participation that is more, the likelihood that fewer more will join you here in the Senate will be high. So you're looking for for because of that, for example, you could say to bridge the gap, the amount paid for registration within political parties, we did that. It was very practical. We said all female candidates that are contesting representative or senatorial seat will not pay for registration. That was a way to help them to bridge the gap. And if you look at this, I don't know why. I mean, historically, women have been at the back end of governance in the country.
So how many women were elected from the party?
Yeah, no, that is another discussion. How many women did we enhance, help to participate, but more than 30%?
Let me also provide some information to that, Senator. In 2020, the CPP had to field 15 candidates. Out of the 15 candidates, CPP had 5 women candidates and exceeded the 30% to 33%. Of the 5 women candidates, 2 got elected.
Thank you, Senator. I don't have questions. We are preparing Mary for a wedding. So this is not where we need to ask questions. We just need to prepare her for the wedding. We created laws within the National Elections Commission that talks about trucking and domicile. And there has been no mechanism to monitor trucking or to stop trucking or to even confirm domicile. So if we don't have mechanisms, why do we put it on the books? And it's causing us problems in the elections. Even those of us that have confirmed evidence that people are trucking, we take pictures, we carry names to neck, and nothing happens. People who just arrived from the United States or elsewhere have no domicile evidence. They just choose a brother's house and they use his tax paper. They go in and register, and we carry evidence. Nothing happens. So I'm asking you and all of us, as we are now preparing for a new stage, that we should start brainstorming on how we follow up, implement, and ensure that mechanisms are created for such laws that we are now suffering from. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I just say something to that? Yeah, 1 minute. Senator, I believe you must just take it to the next level. If you report to the neck and nothing is done, take it to court. The only thing about us is that sometimes we get tired. But if you take it to the court and the court is supporting that the law that is in place, you'll be surprised. Maybe some of this will be reduced. But if you just report it to neck and neck doesn't do anything, you just leave it there, we're happy and happy again. We must go to the next level and test the law.
We need to reinforce the law also.
Issue of the trucking is very troubling. There are many constituencies in this country that have senators and representatives that not even supposed to be there. They are there because they brought citizens from other parts of the country. And when push comes to shove, they do not really represent that area because they are not from there. I think one major way that we can solve this is this whole national ID card for the entire citizenry. Because when people register in their information is in the database, and NEC needs to take cognizance of that. When people voting, you need to know where they're from, where they live, and those things need to be strictly monitored. And that's one of the best ways that we are able to control this whole issue of the trucking issue. Yes, sir.
I think you were saying that this happens only on election day. No, what about registration? Why is it going if they trunk them to the other constituencies to register?
No, sir, I'm talking about the national ID card.
Yeah, but they will use the autos to register.
Why we do the national ID card in time? When we do the national ID card like 2 years before the time, it might help to mitigate. I mean, we cannot get rid of it immediately. It will take some time. But once we are able to register people in time, it could help mitigate the problem. Yeah, Mr. Presiding. One of the most dangerous, Mr. Presiding, our election is free when I said. And the only way we can have a free election in this country if we put on a process where people who don't belong to a constituent will talk people there to vote for them. Definitely, our election will not be free and fair. What do I say this? Yeah, why do I say this? You know, people, when you talk about the national identification card, people take it to be. But what I've been hearing is that this government has decided to contract the services of a foreign company to strengthen the NIR for the purpose of ensuring that when you are registered here, it is that area, all your political interaction will be. Okay? You can mitigate that when you have a biometric, but if they say, you ask the question. You ask the question. The chairman, you ask the question. I say how the flow. Yeah. If you have a biometric ID card showing that this is the place you are registered on the day of voting, it is right now in Liberia, even the greatest democracies that we have like the United States. People don't go with voter registration card. They go with your national identity, national ID. Okay, take for example, if a child is born, at the election here, you had 17-year-old child being in front of to participate in the election. Then the foreigner you have a bad election in 2 years, and then will be 20 years, 21 years. He came up to vote, and you said because you had to wait for voter registration time
for that child to register and vote. What will happen when you go to court? So, look, and the law requires that I'm not 18 years above, and I need to vote. It is only a national identification card that will restore that person's right to vote. So it is very important that we deal with this.
Doesn't the law require a mandate voter update?
Yep. But how do you do it? Do it every year?
No, every year. Listen,
But I'm talking about
Mr. Mama, you see, we don't have to test the law in this country. So most times we think the law is either weak or non-existent. Once I'm 18 years old, election commission, if that's the only means by which I can be identified to vote, once I'm 18 years old, election commission is under obligation to issue me voter ID.
of course.
Fine, I don't have to wait for the next election. But the law is there. But the law is not there because we are not implementing it. There is nothing that stops anybody from having their voter ID when they turn 18 in this country.
Yeah, but it's not practicable.
It's not political because the law then they enough waiting for somebody to test it.
That's the thing.
I have an observation or question on this issue, which I think was raised by the VP. This is a scenario. I'm from Grand Crew, and a lot of my people are in West Point. They are in Nickel Town. And I'm contesting, say 2029, and they want to go vote for me in Grand Crew. And they are from Grand Crew County. They don't live there, but they're decision makers from Grand Crew. Yes, they don't live there, but they are decision makers for Grand Crew. Are you saying they should be denied the right to go to vote for the candidate of their choice? No, it shouldn't be there. Shout to the law.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Mr.
It can be
Chairman,
blanket.
Mr. Chairman, can I come in?
People should actually vote where they live. I'm from the Pele ethnic group. We are the largest ethnic group across the country. You can imagine if I wanted to be senator in Bon County, I trust everybody. What kind of vote I would get? But that's what we will be doing. Because there are Pele people across the country. They will vote where they live. And where they live is where they have the impact and that
No,
impact.
so it's not a matter of Pele. So your people, yeah, your people in your people from Bon County who live in Grand Crew want to come to Bon County and vote for you. That's their right. For me, I will encourage that.
I will encourage them.
The thing about it is that the thing about it, Madam Senator, the thing, okay, yeah. Chairman and members, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, on the issue of using the national ID card as the instrument under which one will be allowed to vote, I believe we're really asking for trouble. To use the national ID card. First and foremost, the national ID card, you have to have a system in there that those cards are verifiable on school, in the mountains, in the bush, and I come to vote and I use my ID card, my national ID card. It has to be verifiable by biodata.
Somebody who wants to vote in the next election, you don't have your national ID card. I think we should just add to that listing that if you can produce your last voting card, it should be sufficient because then you are going through the process. But to say the government must provide opportunities for everybody to get a national ID card, it might not be possible. But if you have a form of voting card, it should be acceptable.
Can I name?
Eligible for voting card outside.
Can I name?
That Senator Dillon said we should now start testing those who are not turning 18. Go to the election commission now and get your ID card.
Can I name, sir? Can I name? So, is the government going to provide ID cards for all its citizens? Pay for it? $5? Is the government going to pay for it? Voters The right to vote is a free.
I think, well, let's be clear on something.
Okay.
The replacement of the lost voter ID is what the law requires $5.
That's not what I'm talking about, sir.
To obtain the voter ID card is free.
To obtain the voter ID card is free.
It's free.
To obtain a national ID card is not free.
Fine. So the thing is, you are proposing, and it makes sense, that if we will have to use a voter ID to restrict people to vote to where they are resident in keeping with the ID, the national ID, it would be a good proposal for government to consider issuing the ID card. It would be a very good proposal. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'd like to flag one issue so that we all take note of. Maybe that would be part of the reform. Even if not in the law, if it's possible, we can include that in the law. I have a concern. In this country, only like after, especially nationwide elections, only NET has the capacity to tally results. We work with all the political parties, or most of the political parties, after election, everyone looks up to NET to tally and publish the result. Political parties don't have the capacity. They have not demonstrated that they have the capacity to tally the result, to have their own results before NET announces the official results. In order to maybe address the issue of the fear of cheating, I think we need to ensure that either in this law or as part of the election reform, to ensure that political parties have either collectively or the top three political parties be funded at some level so that they have the capacity to tally the results. Take for instance, if the presidential election was held today, where maybe CDC will have their result even if they didn't win, or UP will have their result, or ASC will have their result. But as in the only net. Sometimes by the try, I think it was Sherman who tried to introduce the political party sustainability act. Well, political parties should have this funding. Okay. On a bill was here at the time, we all had a conversation. That didn't work. So as it is, people will be thinking that, or people will say that, or political parties will raise the issue of cheating. And I think that's what I observed when the current chair of the commission was nominated. We only man from a unity party. He is coming to cheat. The kind of mindset where it exists because we don't have the capacity to determine what we got on the field, what the true election result that we obtain on the field. We don't have the capacity. Our political parties don't have the capacity. I want to recommend, as part of the reforms, we find a way. Either we support them, give them funding so that they have who watches everywhere, they build their own war room, and be supported. So that it's not only them who will be in the position or that will have the capacity to tally nationwide results. There are 2 or 3 political parties, I think we should support them so that the whole issue of cheating can be eradicated, or so that parties who don't perform and who don't have the capacity to tally results we arbitrarily say, oh, next cheated. We should have won, but they cheated us. I think we should concentrate. We should look in that direction. The other issue I wanted to have to do with party offices. I listened to the ANC presentation. They raised the issue of increment in fees, and they indicated that that would just enfranchise poor people who want to participate in the election. And along that line of thinking, they want the registration fees to remain where they are. But equally so, they support the old law that says party offices should be within the immediate environment of Moria. I think that is also unfair too. Things are not like before. There are people who have properties outside of Monrovia who could also rent their properties to political parties and make money. But you are restricting political parties to have offices only in Monrovia, the immediate environment. That is unfair. I think we should look this law. I intend to oppose it with everything I have on this floor, and I will lobby against it. The other issue has to do with women participation. Why people always, as I ask the question, how do you enforce it? If you at the political party no woman shows up, so you go looking for women to come and put them on the ticket. Will you provide the funding for them? All political parties will not have that capacity to bring women, 30% women on their ticket, and then go and register them. And do you campaign for them? What funding do you have? And besides that, we all have seen, yeah, nobody set the presidency aside for president, so it's a winning for women. Nobody set the vice president aside for the former vice president. And the list goes on. Nobody set the temporary position aside for Senator Yomlikana. So people must endeavor to go out there and compete. And we don't want a situation where even if you say let's take affirmative action and you set it aside, where few powerful women will just remain moral and decide who to go on those slots. We have seen it in other places where few powerful women will take the decision on behalf of the ordinary people. So I have not supported that, and I won't really support that. And the issue of domicile, the Supreme Court, from Supreme Court interpretations, you can be domiciled in more than one county. I don't think that was the intent of the law. And since there was ambiguity in the law for which the Supreme Court had to interpret, it is about time for us to rewrite the law. Because it was not clear. That's why people went to the Supreme Court to interpret the law. Since the Supreme Court interpreted the law, and for me, I think the interpretation is against the intent, let's do the intent, then let's do it the right way now, since we are amending the law. So far for now, those are my few points.
Can I have 1 minute? Not 1 minute. I want to talk about the issue that Senator Nukwe raised about incapacity of political parties to superintend their votes, for which government should give them money. That is a part of the process of the political parties to ensure that you get your tally sheets. At the end of the voting period, I think the first 5, 6, or 7 political parties are getting copies of the sheet, and one of it is posted outside. That's why you have to ensure that when you're doing this, you have your people in all of the polling centers. What we did in 2017 during the elections, because we were a coalition, Congress for Democratic Change, for example, they didn't have poll watchers in every place. So where MPP were popular, MPP put up its candidates, its personnel for that process. So that's the way you can, piggyback on other systems to get your result. It is not government's responsibility to ensure you get the results. You should make sure you have it. When people are running for senator and representative, they get all their results. So if they can get all their results, then those people can help the political parties that they are from to get their results. They shouldn't be a
Mr. Chairman, let me just clarify the results. Yeah.
Points by Senator Nukwe on the issue of the capacity of political parties to tally results. We think such a funding can be channeled through independent civil society organizations that are observing the elections. Because from our experiences of the elections and that have taken place in Liberia, for instance, in 2023, we have Senator Dillon, for instance, with a blue plastic in the bag with unilaterally share results. You have, for instance, Representative. Sorry, Senator Dillon. Yeah, you have Representative Gray with your own results. So there may be tensions created as a result of such when you capacitate political parties and they are not honest enough to give the results. So I trust that you can allot sort of responsibility to independent civil society organizations with the expertise instead of each political party announcing their results. Regarding the issue of gendering rights, I mean, it's a critical point. Our laws are clear. But if we are here to issue affirmative action, right? I mean, other international experts have recommended, for instance, a gender quota. How do we do it? For instance, the Senate, yes, is a larger constituency within the country. Each country has got 2 senators. Can we, for instance, think about a rotational gendering system where half of the Senate, for instance, will be comprised of women, half comprised of men for a certain electoral period, and the following period you have half of the Senate by women and men. I mean, if you want to start with mostly rather, that would be good. I mean, yes. So presently we have some counties with a list of female senator and a male senator. I'm not too sure it is creating problem. The electoral constituencies in terms of the House of Representatives, if Greencrew or Maryland or Sino, they've got 2 seats, for instance. I mean, we can be deliberate as a country to say these 2 seats, one will be for a woman, one will be for a male, and then we go to elections. I know people will say, oh yeah, the constitution that does not call for 8, but you have to amend the constitution to live with the present realities. For instance, in Rwanda, which is a good example of gender quotering, I mean, there is a system put in place for women's representation, not just participation in the parliament or the legislature, right? So yes, we can adopt that particular system in Liberia.
No, I run down look at it. Simply to watch it. It's a whole different story there.
No, they have a presidential system.
Mr. Chair?
Well, it is a gradual process, right? Senator, it is a gradual process. Women constitute half of the population of Liberia. That we know, right? But electorally, there are disadvantages when it comes to the issue of women.
Mr. Chair, can I provide? Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yeah. President Dillon?
President Dillon? Senator Dillon?
Thank you. So I just want to ask one question across the board. I read the position from MPP, and I wanted to ask from that perspective, what is the general view of political parties and stakeholders regarding this 2% threshold? MPP supports that. I want to hear from, I think ANC rejects that.
No, we support that.
The 2% threshold.
Yes, for the record, we support that. Okay.
No, and you know the 2% threshold I'm talking about, where we'll go to election, a party.
Yeah, we support that.
We support that. So we keep it on the book and get the election commission to enforce it. That's fine.
There's a law on the books, and we support that.
Yeah, because some political parties say it's anti-democratic.
But that's not our position.
So now you have a CDC.
There's a law on the books, Honorable Senator. The law is clear. Once you have one, the CDC is saying to squash it out in its totality in terms of not respecting the existing law. There's an existing law that says that one person, if you have one representative, you cannot be taken out. Okay, they cannot quash the existing law that political party from participating in the presidential elections. That's what the ANC is saying. That's what the CDC is saying on that position. We have not shied away from the position of the existing law. What we are shying away from is an amendment to that existing law to just kill a political party on the basis.
What is the amendment?
Now, what
is the amendment?
What we are saying is that if you just said 2% and you left it ambiguous as the way it was stated there by the Elections Commission chairman, it was not spelled out.
No, Mr. Gray.
Yeah.
Mr. Gray, let's be clear. The Election Commission chairman designated at the time.
Are you a spokesperson?
Because I asked the question.
Yeah.
doing his confirmation.
And what did he say?
Fine, thank you. And don't forget now, I'm gonna be asking you questions.
Yeah, ask for the question.
I'm not about to speak.
Okay.
I asked the election commission, the chair designate, if the commission honor him, should we confirm him have the courage to implement what the election law says, including the provision for the 2% threshold. And he said if that's what the law says, the election commission will uphold it. So it was not him that was making the statement. I don't know who asking the question.
No, I agree that you asked.
So since we're doing electoral reform dialogue to inform reform to the election law, I'm asking political stakeholders and political parties. I've heard from MPP, they think the law is good. ANC supports the law. CDC, in my view, supports the law but wants to tweak it. Is that my understanding?
Our understanding is that what is the law must remain the law. That's what we are saying. So clearly, they'll put ourselves on record on that.
So the law as is, CDC supports it.
I said the existing law.
But I was saying the
law,
law,
election laws, that's what we support.
Mr. Gray, forget about it.
That's what I said. I said the existing election laws, that's what we support.
Thank you.
What you are discussing now is amendments at the existing election laws.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Now you see. No. The question is, do we amend that portion or do you support it as is?
Well, I think you just asked the question. The question, it will depend on what the amendment is. Let me respond again. Our response will be on the basis of what the amendment is.
Mr. Gray, let me ask you.
We support the existing election law.
What's difficult there?
That's what we said.
No argument.
If there's an amendment that does not support such a law, then we take exception to it. It depends what the amendment is.
It's simple. Yeah. PUL, what your view? Yeah. Yeah, but you know that in the Senate. PUL was.
So you're right. You're okay.
Mr. Gray, the question was simple. Do you support the law as is? That was simple. The 2% threshold aspect of it. When somebody said the law as is, the current election law that says what the law as
well,
is.
we support the current election law.
Okay,
yeah, that's what I said.
President Labero, what your view of that? Because there have been one or two, especially I've got to be clear, the LTP on Council of Gonglo have suggested that this law is anti-democratic. Is that a popular view of the political parties? We don't think so from this hearing, but let's hear from President Labero.
Well, thank you very much, Senator. The issue of democracy is about competition, right? And in the competitive process, it has to be free of any hindrances that will bar certain political parties as a basis of their performance in the past from going forward in the future in terms of contesting an elections. So it is a tricky question, but per the Constitution, no political party should be barred from participating.
Which part of the Constitution says no political party should be barred?
Well, if you take into consideration, I will not be specific because this question is an emerging question, so to speak. But the point there is the Constitution guarantees participation in elections, right? The Constitution did not spell out any 2% threshold to be achieved before you become a political party. The Constitution did not define political parties as parties that will have to get 2% of a vote.
Mr. President,
yes.
Of the President Labero, do you know, and thankfully lawyers are plenty here, that there is no absolute constitutional or fundamental right? Every right comes with some restriction and consequences. There is no absolute constitutional or fundamental rights anywhere in the world. Do you agree with that?
There are no absolute fundamental rights, but rights are defined in the Constitution. So any right that is not defined in the Constitution.
For instance, you have your right to want to be lawmaker, for instance, but you must be 25 years or 30 years, depending on which house. You have the right to want to be president.
but you must be 35. There's some restriction and some boundaries in enjoyment of that right. Correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
But the law that was passed by the legislature has not yet been tested. So, from my imagination, I think it was 2014. We had elections in 2017, in 2023.
Yes.
Right? Why was it not tested? Because there are debates on those laws. So, like the chairman of the Elections Commission said, and if we are to argue that it be in place, then it will be tested like the LPP is doing before the courts.
So yeah, since the president of Liberia has a reservation on it.
Yes, we have a serious reservation.
And UP,
yeah.
United Parliament, your view.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. We 100% support the 2% because let's be frank, in this country, there are some political parties that do not have a national appeal. And this is a national election. That is not an infringement on people's rights. It's just raising the bar and establishing fundamental threshold by which political parties should operate. Someone should just come from behind the house. His political party is in a photo. Then he become it's being recognized as a political party. He doesn't even have an office anywhere. We 100% support the current law as it is on that 2%.
ANC, I see the chairman.
We have indicated that we support the law, but sometimes there is some attempt to cherry pick the law and interpret it like a never die person. We're not going to do that. We support the law holistically, and that is the 2% of membership of representatives in the House of the Senate. But you will not remove one. If you do that, that would be an amendment.
No, the law does not talk about one and leave the other one. So the question